Hi everyone, welcome to Second Language Writing Intersection session. Today I will talk about how we can promote academic integrity in writing classes and how we can design our courses accordingly. Relating to my outline, first of all, I'd like to call your attention to our definition of academic integrity here. And I'd like to introduce some other terminologies which might be related to academic integrity, although they are not used as interchangeable, they might be related within this perspective. And later, I'd like to highlight the importance of academic integrity policies because policies are instruments, blue documents, which help us instill the culture of academic integrity, not only in our classes, but also at our institutions. Later, I'd like to introduce anonymous multi-mediated writing model, which is a teaching writing model that I developed to promote academic integrity and provide some hints relating to how we can design our writing classes to encourage academic integrity. And later, I will provide some links from Facing Academic Integrity Threats project, which is an Erasmus Plus project that I am coordinating. And in this project, we are creating exemplary policies and also educational materials, which will help writing teachers as well to design their courses. And finally, I'm going to finish my presentation with reference to some suggested sources. Considering the definition of academic integrity, here I borrowed an excerpt from European Network for Academic Integrity's glossary to define academic integrity. In this definition, it is said that compliance with ethical and professional principles, standards, practices, and consistent system of values that serves as guidance for making decisions and taking actions in education, research, and scholarship. That's how academic integrity is defined in the glossary. We understand that any educational activity from this definition should comply with ethical and professional principles. Maybe in some other parts of the world, you may not be using this terminology, academic integrity. Instead, you might be using academic honesty, educational integrity, research integrity, or academic ethics as well. Although there are some differences considering these terminologies, we may say that these terminologies refer to similar concepts. So we will be taking academic integrity as an umbrella term here, making reference to all other related terminologies in this presentation. Policies are quite important documents for us because academic integrity policies help in the institution of culture of academic integrity. If it is a well-developed policy, then we can identify the responsibilities of every stakeholders. Especially this is very important from educative policy perspective, because recently when we check the policies, we can identify that recently policies have a tendency towards an educative perspective rather than reactional policies or directional policies. Earlier than this, institutions or teachers were more interested in detection of academic misconduct cases or what sanctions in terms of reaction, what sanctions might be delivered as a punishment for the students who are being involved in academic misconduct cases. However, recently we are more interested in policies from pedagogic perspectives, so that we are taking restorative justice perspective here. So we are trying to provide opportunities even for students who are involved in academic misconduct, to develop their skills, and to become honest individuals. Indeed, the ultimate aim of education by the help of academic integrity policies, pedagogical academic integrity policies, is bringing honest individuals to the society. When we check the approaches towards academic integrity policies here, maybe with reference to pain, we can talk about two different approaches here. The first one is rule compliance approach, and the other one is integrity approach. If we focus on rule compliance approach, it means that we try to answer this question: how do we stop students from cheating? However, if you are following the principles of integrity approach, this time we try to answer this question: how do we make sure that students are learning? So indeed, these two questions reveal our perception towards academic integrity policies. Now I'd like to make reference to anonymous multi-mediated writing model which I developed. This model enables anonymous asynchronous online feedback in a digital environment so that we guarantee balanced distribution of asymmetrical and symmetrical feedback. I mean, I'm making reference to feedback coming from different levels, such as different level of students or teachers feedback. And here the originality of the idea here with reference to this model is coming from my categorization of students: good students, moderate students, and poor students with reference to their writing skills. I create three subcategories for my students, and once my students submit their assignments, I match every student's paper with three other peers: one good peer, one moderate peer, and one poor peer. It means that my students will be receiving feedback from different proficiency level students. Of course, once they receive the feedback, they need to check the quality of the feedback, because not all the time they are providing accurate feedback, and it will be the student author's responsibility to check the accuracy of the feedback, which is quite similar to what happens when we submit a paper to a journal. Once we receive reviewer reports, for example, we write a response. So something similar happens in this model. So what do? They submit their draft, receive peer feedback, revise their paper accordingly, and then resubmit. This is what happens with reference to peer feedback. Of course, apart from peer feedback, there are some other feedback exchange opportunities which I'll be illustrating in the next slide. Before I developed my model, I had students, quite a lot of students, who were plagiarizing. So my initial expectation from developing this model was preventing plagiarism. Of course, preventing plagiarism, I mean zero plagiarism, it's just an utopia which is impossible. However, this model helped me to encourage my students act with integrity. And in 2015, my model received Turnitin Global Innovation Award, and later in 2017, my model was listed as a good practice by Australian Government Tertiary Education Quality Standards Agency. What happens in the model? Let me provide some more hints. Indeed, I am teaching academic writing classes, which is a 2 semesters course. For the first semester, which I call as controlled writing process, I deliver my students to submit 3 assignments, and each assignment approximately 700 words. I deliver the topic, and I deliver related sources for my students because it's a controlled practice. My intention with doing this is especially making my students familiar with in-text citation rules. So I try to control how they paraphrase, how they directly quote from the other sources, and then how they synthesize information coming from different sources. On the right hand, indeed, you see some excerpts from my course content. So as you see, I give some opportunity for my students to familiarize themselves with the principles of academic integrity. And after they submit their assignments, earlier version of their assignments, they are receiving peer feedback, and then they are submitting their revised assignments. Before they submit their revised assignment, as a teacher, I also provide feedback. I do this as conference feedback in the first semester. Then in the class, I bring some good examples and poor examples. Of course, these are anonymized examples. And then by using these examples, I give feedback to every student. When it comes to the second semester, this time I call it as free writing process because I ask my students to submit a review paper at the end of the semester. And this time it will be, the topic of the paper will be of their choice. Of course, it will make some reference to English language teaching. And they will be using approximately 15 sources to support their ideas, and they will be submitting a paper at the length of approximately 2,000 words, excluding references. So indeed, the assignment starts from the very beginning of the semester, and throughout the semester, as a lecturer, I provide feedback at different steps, such as, for example, they prepare their outline and then receive feedback from me relating to their organization of the ideas, and then they blend sources in their outline and then again receive feedback from me relating to the sources that they are using, because we are talking about academic integrity here. We don't merely focus on an academic misconduct type of plagiarism, for example. Instead, I am trying to encourage my students to act with integrity by considering the other important elements, such as, for example, source credibility. So it means that the sources that they are citing must be credible sources. They need to avoid from predatory journals or predatory publishers. So throughout the semester, as you see again on the right hand, we pay attention to other aspects of academic integrity. So here, source credibility and avoiding predatory publishers is one of them. Throughout the semester, I will be providing individual feedback to every student 3 times, and I will be taking notes with reference to their performances. They need to get pass score at least twice from their initial submissions. Otherwise, I don't allow them to submit their papers at the end of the semester. In the figure, you see 3 categories here. The first one makes reference to planning process, and then drafting process, and then final submission process. They are receiving feedback from me. They are also receiving peer feedback as in the early semester. Anonymous multi-mediated writing model was one of the suggestions that I wanted to share with you. And now I'd like to move to Facing Academic Integrity Trust project. You see the 3 project results. These are what we are trying to do throughout the project. For the first project result, we focus on analyzing and developing exemplary policies, and later we focus on designing evidence-based guidance and training materials. And in the last project result, we developed a support for victims of academic misconduct. I shared the links for both the project and for the support of victims portal. As for project result 1 and 2, this is an ongoing project, and we will be sharing our findings with you. So if you check the links throughout the time, you will be able to see the materials that we are developing. Before I say goodbye, I want to provide five sources as suggestion for you. The first one is an article from System Journal, which illustrates my model there. And the second one is an article from International Journal for Educational Integrity. I definitely recommend you to check the journal for the other articles as well. Here in this article, which I co-authored to my former PhD student, we illustrate how to create a culture of academic integrity. Although it focused on secondary school, it's quite possible to adapt it to higher education concept. And the third one is good practice note from Australian government tertiary education quality standards agency. You will be able to see many other models there. And also Sage Skills student success may provide some hints, because there are some modules relating to developing academic integrity skills and also referencing skills. And finally, there's a database from European Network for Academic Integrity relating to educational materials. All links are active, and I hope you will like them. I'd like to thank you all for your attendance. I'm happy to answer your questions via Zoom. If it doesn't work, I'm happy to answer your questions via email. Thank you.